deep in the vastness of space, the interstellar ship Aether vanished. In its last transmission, Captain Jack Evans and his crew reported discovering an anomaly. But after that signal, the ship went silent. For months, no response came from any channel. The Earth Galactic Alliance, EGA, decided to send a rescue team to find a lost ship. The rescue mission was assigned to the Horizon, the EGA's most advanced exploration and rescue vessel. Led by Captain Alex Johnson, the crew prepared for a long journey in near total silence. Everyone was speculating about the fate of Aether. Some thought it was just a technical malfunction, while others feared something much darker. "We're approaching the coordinates from the last signal, Captain," said Navigation Officer Lisa. The anomaly zone was blinking on the star map. This region was one of the darkest and most dangerous in the galaxy, the Vega Nebula. Alex paused for a moment, staring at the screen. This mission might not be just a rescue operation. The region where the Aether disappeared had been the subject of rumors for years. Some said space-time bent there, causing anything material to vanish. "Prepare the ship. This won't be an ordinary mission," Alex said without taking his eyes off the screen. He felt a chill deep inside, but kept it hidden from the rest of the crew. As the Horizon glided into the foggy, colorful clouds of the Vega Nebula, the crew worked in a deep, tense silence. The space clouds were beautiful and mesmerizing from a distance, but the unknowns they hid were much more frightening. "We're detecting energy fluctuations, Captain," said Science Officer David. "The frequency is familiar, but also distorted. It's similar to the signals from the Aether, but mixed with something else." Alex walked over to David and examined the data on the screen. The signal frequency was clearly scrambled, but the source of the disruption was unclear. "What is this?" Alex asked. "Some kind of interference." David frowned as he dug deeper into the data. "I don't think it's natural interference. It's like two signals are colliding with each other." Lisa turned her attention to the data screens. "There's something nearby, Captain. A large mass. It could be a ship." The ship's external cameras quickly displayed the images on the screen. Through the foggy nebula, the silhouette of a ship emerged, faintly glowing. It was the Aether. "There it is," Alex whispered. "The Aether." However, the ship didn't appear normal. It wasn't just hanging in space. It was warping, as if it were being pulled into some kind of space-time distortion. The laws of physics seemed to be unraveling in this region. The Horizon cautiously approached the Aether. As they searched for a safe docking point, they realized that even space-time itself was rippling around the ship. David struggled to explain the situation because none of it made any scientific sense. "This is impossible," David muttered in disbelief. Time and space seemed to be intertwining. "This could be a drift effect." "A drift?" Alex asked, raising an eyebrow. "Yes, a kind of space-time drift. It happens near black holes sometimes, but this is different. Something here is distorting both time and space." As they aligned the ship to dock, the signals grew even more chaotic. The source of the frequency was not just the Aether. There was another energy source, but nobody knew what it was yet. "We're docking," Alex said. "Is the crew ready?" Lisa and David put on their helmets and checked their equipment. A sense of unease filled the air. It wasn't just about finding the lost ship anymore. They also needed to understand the anomaly. When Horizon teams stepped inside the Aether, they immediately noticed that everything was broken. The ship's systems were down, and there was no sign of the crew. But the strangest thing was that the ship seemed to be experiencing some kind of disconnection from time and space. One moment it looked like a normal ship, and the next it appeared as if it belonged to an entirely different reality. David activated the frequency detector as they moved forward. "We need to find the source of this frequency. It's not just interference. It feels like a message." Alex looked around carefully, studying every detail. Was someone here? He wondered. When they reached the control room of the ship, they were in for a bigger shock. The screens displayed a star map, and at the center was a blinking symbol they didn't recognize. The last frequency. "What is that?" Alex asked, staring at the screen. David examined the map. "It's a kind of coordinate. but it doesn't correspond to any location in our galaxy. Alex focused on the blinking map. What does this coordinate point to? David thought for a moment. I think it's the source of the last frequency, and this is only the beginning. As the Horizon crew continued to explore the ether, they began to feel that something far more bizarre and complex was happening. The ship, twisted in time and space, felt like it was at the intersection of different realities. Objects flickered in and out of existence. This isn't just space-time distortion, David said. It's like a door has opened somewhere, allowing us to pass into another dimension. Alex took a deep breath and returned to the ether's control room. The symbol of the last frequency was still blinking on the screen. Somehow, it was pointing to the center of the galaxy. But it wasn't just a coordinate. It felt like a call, echoing in the crew's minds. Could this frequency be trying to communicate with us? Alex asked aloud. Lisa, her face filled with confusion, turned to him. What do you mean? An intelligence? David didn't dismiss the possibility. Yes, maybe some kind of consciousness. Frequencies can carry information through electromagnetic waves. There could be an unknown entity behind this distorted signal. But what's the purpose? Lisa asked. If it's communicating with us, what is it trying to say? Alex felt a strong determination as he stared at the blinking symbol. There's only one way to find out. We need to follow this coordinate. The Horizon set course toward the coordinates extracted from ether. The crew remained tense in the silence, aware that they were racing against time. The unknown they were facing was unlike anything they had ever encountered. Lisa carefully monitored the star map as they approached their destination. Captain, we're getting close to the coordinates, but we're also reaching the outer limits of our galaxy. David, his eyes fixed on the data screens, nodded. This area has never been explored. It's completely unknown territory. As the Horizon reached the specified location, the crew instantly felt something was off. The ship passed through what felt like an invisible barrier. Time and space were warping again, but this time the effect wasn't just physical. It was as if their minds were being pulled into a trap. Well, what's happening? Lisa gasped, watching the data screens ripple with bizarre distortions. What kind of force are we dealing with here? Alex noticed the lights on the ship's control systems flickering. This is some kind of field. There's an energy source here. David, his expression darkening, stared at his console. This isn't just an ordinary energy source. It's an artificial frequency, but it's not natural. It feels deliberate, almost intelligent. As the Horizon entered this new energy field, the crew noticed something strange. Time wasn't behaving normally. Inside the ship, the clocks ticked as usual, but outside, the stars and galaxies seemed to be speeding up, as if time were rushing by. Lisa, watching the external camera feeds, took a deep breath. This can't be real. We're watching a star's life cycle in just seconds. David started analyzing the data, trying to make sense of the phenomenon. This energy is bending time. We're disrupting the natural flow of time. Alex paused to consider the implications. If this energy is controlling time, what's the purpose of the frequency? What does warping time achieve? David, focused on the data, gathered his thoughts. The frequency might be unlocking something. Maybe it's the key to something far larger than we understand. As the Horizon pushed further into the energy field, the crew began experiencing strange mental effects. Each of them started recalling past events from their lives, but these memories were distorted, turning into twisted nightmares. Lisa closed her eyes for a moment, only to find herself reliving a memory from her childhood. But wasn't just a simple memory. Everything was blurry, faded, and menacing. "Well, what's happening to me?" she whispered, looking around at the ghostly images swirling around her. David wiped sweat from his forehead after removing his helmet. This frequency isn't just affecting matter, it's affecting our minds. Time is bending, and it's warping our thoughts too. It's playing with our reality. Alex gritted his teeth, determined to find a solution. This might be a test. The frequency could be sending us a message. We need to figure out what it's trying to tell us. After enduring these mental and physical challenges, the crew finally managed to track down the source of the frequency. At the center of the energy field, hidden deep in the fabric of space, they found a massive structure. This structure wasn't like anything they had ever seen before. It was glowing with bright lights and seemed to pulse like a living energy sphere. David, his voice a whisper, couldn't take his eyes off the screen. This is a portal, a gateway. Alex, taking a deep breath, focused on the structure. This could be the way to change everything. But what's the purpose of this frequency? Why are we here? David studied the data, finally piecing it together. This frequency doesn't just mark the end of an era, it's a signal of rebirth. If we go through this portal, everything could change. Alex and his crew were now faced with a monumental decision. The gateway before them could be the key to a new reality, but it also carried the potential to destroy everything they knew. David, staring intently at the screen, muttered thoughtfully, "This gateway could reshape not just our reality, but all time and space. If we pass through, nothing will be the same." Alex, recognizing the gravity of the situation, exhaled deeply. But using this power comes with immense responsibility. If we try to control time, we might lose ourselves. Lisa clenched her fists and made her decision. No matter what happens, we'll control our own destiny. This journey won't be our end. And with that, the Horizon crew prepared to step into the unknown. This wasn't just the end of a journey, it was the start of something far greater. As soon as the Horizon passed through the dark gateway, the crew found themselves in a completely new part of the universe. Time and space were acting differently here, and they quickly realized they were in uncharted territory. Stars moved in strange ways, and everything felt slightly off. Alex scanned the cockpit's control panels, everything seeming normal, but the energy around the ship was clearly different. "We've crossed over. But where exactly are we?" David, furiously analyzing the data, responded, "This is some sort of alternate universe. The gateway didn't just bend time, it transported us to a new reality." Lisa, staring out at the strange landscape, frowned. "It feels like time is either moving too fast or too slow here. I can feel it." Alex, gathering his thoughts, gave the order, "We're here now, but we need to figure out where we are and how this universe works." As the crew moved deeper into this new universe, they stumbled upon a strange discovery. In the vast emptiness of space, they found a massive debris field. Hundreds, maybe thousands, of starships were scattered in pieces. Some were ancient, while others looked very familiar. "These ships, they're from our technology," Lisa whispered in disbelief as she recognized pieces of the wreckage. David, still fixated on the data, tried to explain. "This universe doesn't just follow an alternate timeline. It's like different timelines from different civilizations are merging here." Alex stared at the colossal wreckage. There must have been a massive disaster. Maybe that's why we were brought here, to understand what happened. But suddenly, a signal came from the wreckage. It was similar to their own, but stronger and more regular. This is our signal," David said, stunned. "But that's impossible." Alex took a deep breath, his eyes locked on the screen. "Maybe others came before us. Maybe this frequency isn't a call, it's a warning." As the Horizon moved toward the source of the signal, they came across a massive abandoned space station. The structure appeared ancient, yet also equipped with advanced technology. It was as if multiple civilizations had come together to build this one colossal station. It floated in the void, silent but radiating a mysterious power. "This place, it feels oddly familiar," Lisa muttered as she stared at the station's exterior. "But we've never been here." David continued to scan the structure, his voice filled with concern. "The station is powered by something else. I can feel time warping here too. Nothing makes sense." Alex, knowing they had no other option, gave the command, "Prepare the crew. We're going in to investigate. We need to find the source of that signal." When the Horizon crew stepped inside the space station, they found themselves in the midst of what felt like a reality fracture. Inside the station, time was even more unstable. Holographic screens flashed with messages from different civilizations, and some objects seemed to flicker in and out of existence. But what caught their attention most were the ghostly apparitions of lost people. Are those peoples Lisa asked, her voice trembling as she pointed at a strange reflection. It looked like a crew member from the horizon, but it wasn't real. It was just an illusion. David narrowed his eyes. That's not a person. It's an echo of someone who was once here. Time has warped so much that it's left these echoes behind. Alex, try to make sense of it all. This station seems to be a focal point where time and reality are breaking apart. These echoes must be traces of people who were once here, but are now lost in time. David approached an old, flickering screen on the wall. There's a message on this screen. It looks like someone is trying to talk to us. The flickering message on the screen gradually revealed the truth behind the frequency. The message was left by an ancient exploration team that had arrived here thousands of years ago. They had discovered the frequency and this gateway, but in their attempts to understand it, everything had unraveled. They had become victims of the time distortion. This frequency, it's not just a signal, David said as he decoded the message. It's a key. It controls the warping of time and space. Alex stared at the map on the screen. So the frequency is the key to unlocking the gateway. But if we use it, what happens? David exhaled slowly. If we activate this frequency, it could affect not just this place, but the entire universe's timeline. If we misuse it, reality itself might collapse. The crew faced a difficult decision. They had discovered the secret of the frequency and the gateway, but using it could have catastrophic consequences. However, without using it, they risked being trapped in this distorted universe forever. This frequency controls our fate, Alex said, looking around at his team. We can use this key to unlock the gateway and leave, but the risks are enormous. Lisa, hesitant, shook her head. If we use the frequency, we don't know what will happen. Time manipulation is dangerous. David couldn't ignore the risk. Yes, this frequency could destroy everything, but if we don't use it, we might never escape this warp reality. Alex, deep in thought, made his decision. We'll use the frequency, but we'll only use it to close the gateway and return home. We won't try to control time. As soon as Alex and his crew activated the frequency, time and space around them began to bend even more violently. The entire universe seemed to be tearing apart. The structure of reality itself was fracturing, and the Horizon crew felt like they were caught in a chaotic storm. Inside the station, reality became even more chaotic. Past, present, and future collided as echoes of different times clashed. The crew saw glimpses of different universes, and each of them questioned their own existence. David, wide-eyed, whispered in horror, "Everything is breaking apart." Alex, refusing to give in to panic, focused on the frequency controls. This is our last chance. If we can control the frequency, we can stop this chaos. As the crew gained control of the frequency, the structure of the universe began to stabilize. But a tremendous force emerged from within the gateway. It was the entity behind the distortions, using the frequency for its own purposes. "This is no natural phenomenon," David said grimly. "There's an intelligence behind this. Something far more powerful than us is controlling this frequency." Alex, his resolve hardening, gave the final order. "If we can control the frequency, we can stop this entity." The crew poured their final efforts into fully activating the frequency. As they did, the gateway began to collapse, and the entity that had manipulated time started to weaken. The universe's structure slowly returned to normal, and the Horizon crew regained control. With the frequency stabilized and the gateway sealed, the Horizon returned to their own universe. Time and space were back to normal, but the experience had left a permanent mark on the crew. Alex, standing in the cockpit, took a deep breath as he looked out at the familiar stars. "We did it. But this journey, it's changed everything." David, looking at the data screen, smiled faintly. "We've unlocked the secrets of time. We're no longer its masters, but we've learned to respect it." After passing through the gateway and using the frequency, the Horizon plunged into an eerie silence. The crew was stunned by what they had seen. The transition to this new reality had been so sudden and intense that everyone felt as though they were floating in a void. Physically and mentally, They were struggling to comprehend where they were. Alex was the first to break the silence. "Where exactly are we?" he asked, staring out at the unfamiliar universe. This new reality was unlike anything they had seen before. Colors were more vivid, the fabric of space was more mysterious, and the stars seemed to move erratically, as if governed by an entirely different set of physical laws. David, lost in his instruments, frowned at the readings. "Something's wrong. The energy levels here, they don't match any known laws of physics. It's like matter is mixing in ways we can't understand." Lisa, feeling uneasy, took a step back from the window. "Captain, this place, it's not just another universe. It might be beyond what we can comprehend." David's expression grew more serious as he studied one of his devices. "Even time might work differently here. Everything is changing so quickly. It's as if time is flowing in strange, unpredictable ways." Alex, pushing down the growing sense of dread, made a quick decision. "We need to figure out where we are before making any moves. Activate all sensors. We need to understand this universe before stepping outside." As data flowed in non-stop, the Horizon crew tried to make sense of this new universe's rules. Every discovery made them more awed and terrified of the universe they had found themselves in. Understanding the flow of time in this new place was crucial for their survival. David, poring over the sensor data, sighed deeply. Time here isn't stable. In some regions, it's speeding up, while in others, it's almost stopped. This could be dangerous for us. Lisa turned to Alex, her face filled with concern. "What does this mean for us, Captain? If time is moving differently here, it might mean we're in a universe with different rules." Alex, trying to piece everything together, nodded. "These anomalies may be a natural result of this universe. But no matter what, we can't stay here too long. If time is shifting, we might get caught in it." David, now fully realizing the gravity of the situation, added, "The distortion could get worse. If we get stuck in one of these time anomalies, we might never get back. What feels like hours here might be years back home." Alex understood the danger. If they stayed in this universe too long, they could return to find their home universe completely different, or even destroyed. "We need to act fast," he said. "Once we gather enough data, we need to find a way back." As the Horizon crew ventured deeper into the mysterious station, they began to realize the true scale of the danger they were in. This station wasn't just a structure. It was somehow alive, interacting with them in ways they couldn't yet understand. As they moved inside, they were met with strange symbols that seemed to shift and change as they looked at them. Glowing holograms cover the walls, showing symbols and messages that seemed to be from various advanced civilizations. These symbols carried a kind of intelligence, yet they also seemed frozen in time, disconnected from reality. David pulled out his devices and began scanning the symbols, frowning. "These symbols, there's some kind of communication, but the language is ancient." Alex, inspecting the walls, pondered. This could be a message left by whoever built this place. If these symbols are connected to the frequency, we need to decipher them. Lisa felt a deep unease in the pit of her stomach as they moved deeper into the station. "This place, it feels alive, like there's something watching us." As they ventured further, a strange noise began to echo from the walls. The sound was not just heard, but felt in their minds. The station itself seemed to be communicating with them, but its message was neither welcoming nor hostile. It was simply a warning. David, eyes wide, whispered, "That sound, it's reaching directly into our minds. This might not be just a station. It could be a sentient being beyond our understanding." Alex took a deep breath, knowing they had to find the source of the sound. This station might hold the key. If we can communicate with it, we might finally understand the frequency. As the Horizon crew pressed further into the station's core, each member began to feel an unsettling mental pressure. It was as if the station itself was probing their minds, digging into their deepest memories, fears, and desires. Every step they took seemed to pull them deeper into a psychological battle they weren't prepared for. Lisa, walking alongside Alex and David, suddenly froze, her eyes wide. She felt like she was back in her childhood, reliving a traumatic memory. Explosions, panic shouts, and the sensation of helplessness washed over her. She was standing in the middle of a starship battle, one she hadn't experienced in years, but had never forgotten. This isn't real, is it?" she whispered, her voice trembling as the vision gripped her tightly. David felt a similar pull. He was being confronted with his deepest fears, visions of disasters he'd always tried to prevent but couldn't. The weight of time seemed to crush him, making it hard to distinguish between the present and the fractured realities his mind was experiencing. Meanwhile, Alex, feeling the full weight of his responsibility as captain, found himself battling self-doubt. Echoes from the station whispered accusations into his mind, blaming him for leading the crew into danger. "Was this all your fault?" the voices taunted. "Did your decisions bring them here?" But Alex knew that he had to push through. His crew depended on him, and he couldn't afford to break under this psychological assault. He took a deep breath, mentally fighting back against the illusions. "We can't give in to this," Alex muttered to himself. "This station is using our fears against us. We have to stay grounded in reality." David, shaking his head to clear his thoughts, nodded in agreement. "These are just tricks. If we lose ourselves in these visions, we'll never get out of here." After overcoming the mental trials, the Horizon crew finally reached the heart of the station. Here, they found a massive, pulsating structure, a strange fusion of organic and mechanical elements. It seemed almost alive, its surface glowing with energy. This was the source of the frequency, both a machine and a being of immense power. David stared in awe at the strange entity. This isn't just a machine. It's alive, or at least it was. This is what's been controlling the gateway. Alex approached the structure cautiously, his eyes narrowing as he studied it. This thing is manipulating space and time. If we shut it down, we might be able to close the gateway. But as they neared the core of the station, a voice echoed through their minds, deeper and more menacing than before. It wasn't coming from the station itself, but from the very heart of the frequency. "You don't understand the power you're dealing with." The voice boomed, not in sound, but in thought. "Time is not a toy. This frequency is more than you can comprehend." Alex clenched his fists, standing firm against the overwhelming mental presence. "We're not here to control time. We're here to stop you and close the gateway." The voice, filled with dark amusement, responded, "You think you can stop me? This gateway is beyond your understanding. Time as you know it is but a fraction of what exists. You can close the gateway, but it will come at a cost." David looked at Alex, his voice uneasy. "What cost?" The voice replied, "To control the gateway, you must become part of it. You will be tied to time itself, and the consequences will ripple through every universe. Are you prepared to pay that price?" The crew was faced with an impossible choice. If they shut down the gateway, they could prevent further distortion of space and time, but doing so would bind them to it forever, potentially changing their very existence. David, staring at the pulsating core, spoke softly. "If we take control of this frequency, we might be able to stabilize the entire system, but we'll never be the same." Alex, understanding the gravity of the situation, nodded. "But if we don't, we'll be stuck here forever, and the gateway could tear the universe apart." Lisa, determined and resolved, stepped forward. "We don't have a choice. If this is the only way to stop it, we have to do it. We can't let this gateway remain open." Taking a deep breath, Alex turned to the core of the station. "Then we take the risk. We use the frequency to close the gateway, and we accept whatever comes next." David worked quickly to interface with the alien technology, linking the frequency control to their systems. As the core began to hum with energy, the structure of the station started to shift. Time and space warped once more, but this time, they were the ones controlling it. As they activated the frequency, the crew felt the pull of the gateway intensify. They could feel their connection to time itself growing stronger, and with a final surge of power, the gateway began to close. The gateway sealed, the ripples of time smoothed out, and the distortions around them disappeared. The horizon was no longer trapped in the twisted universe. They had returned to their original timeline, but they were forever changed. As the crew stood in silence, gazing out at the stars of their home universe, they realized the magnitude of what they had done. They had controlled the frequency and bent time, but they had paid a price, one that would stay with them forever. Alex stood at the helm of the ship, his expression thoughtful. "We did it. The gateway is closed, and time is stable again." David, scanning the instruments, gave a nod of confirmation. "Everything seems to be back to normal, but we're different now. We've seen things no one else has." Lisa, still feeling the aftereffects of the experience, added, "We're not the same as we were before. We've touched time itself." Alex gazed out into the vastness of space, his thoughts heavy but clear. "We may not be the masters of time, but we've learned to respect it. We've seen the consequences of tampering with forces beyond our understanding." The Horizon crew had survived the journey into the unknown. They had closed the gateway and restored balance to time. But the knowledge they had gained and the price they had paid would remain with them as they sailed into the future, forever aware of the fragility of reality and the mysteries that lay beyond the stars. Epilogue: a glimpse into the infinite. As the Horizon drifted away from the remains of the gateway, something strange flickered on their sensors. A small blip, barely detectable, appeared in the far reaches of their star maps. David glanced at the screen, then looked at Alex, his voice tinged with both fear and curiosity. "Captain, there's something out there." Alex looked at the screen, his mind still trying to process everything they had been through. "What is it?" David hesitated before answering. "I'm not sure, but it's coming from the same coordinates as the last frequency." Alex's expression hardened. "Plot a course. We're not done yet. The journey wasn't over. The mysteries of time, space, and the gateway still lingered, and the Horizon crew, forever changed by their experience, knew that their exploration of the unknown had only just begun. The end, or perhaps just the beginning of another adventure.